Welcome to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, investor, entrepreneur, and business strategist. Why are we here? Because iron sharpens iron, and when we bring experts in their spaces and talk about what's working in business and maybe even some of what's not, we all learn and grow. As a result, our businesses grow, and the ripple effect impacts not only ourselves, our teams, and their family, but also our communities and our world. You are in for a treat today. I have got amazing guests. We are going to start with all things e-commerce, and you're going to want to pay attention because we're going to even get into what's happening. What happens if my TikTok goes dark? And more. We're going to, of course, have our AI segment of the week, and then we're going to end on how can you optimize your brain so that you can be the absolute best that you can be. But without further ado, I want to bring my first guest today. I have Drew Morgan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Man, I am too. I have not had somebody who is truly an expert in the e-commerce space, specifically Amazon market space, in years, literally. So I'm really excited about this. And I want to talk to you about something that comes up a lot in our audience, and that's how do I build brand credibility and authenticity in an e-commerce space, in an online space, in the Amazon marketplace when it's so crowded?
That's a great question, Jen. So there's not a simple answer to this, honestly.
Oh,
it's just like I think the best metaphor is to think of it like a relationship when you're building a brand, if you don't know what you're talking about. And so think of it like a relationship. What are all the things you would do to build trust with a new friend, with a new girlfriend, with a new partner? And so those are the things like having good packaging, dressing well, like on a date. Well, have your package dressed well. You know, you're trying to do good images and be authentic. Use influencers to kind of communicate your message in an authentic way if you're not the influencer yourself for the brand. Follow up, just anything you can do from product quality to the packaging of the product to customer service afterwards, the post-purchase, especially like on the Amazon marketplace where Chinese sellers are so dominant and they can be dominant with supply chain and cost of goods and things like that. The way to really stand out as, let's say, an American-made product, or you're selling here in the US and you're not getting product from China, how are you doing it? That's where you can really lean into content and really marketing yourself like an American brand, like a Western brand, as a way to stand out. So quality.
I love it. Quality over quantity, maybe, but quality and authenticity for sure. And so talk to me about the marketing behind e-commerce in today's world, because let's face it, 4 years ago, it was completely different. 10 years ago, it was even more different than that. And you have been in this game for a really long time. So tell the folks, how long have you been doing this? And what does the evolution look like today from a marketing standpoint?
Okay, so this is, 15 years. I've actually been doing this for 15 years. I went to school for computer science, got a job in networking out of school, networking and security at MasterCard, actually. And I just hated the work. And so I took a chance at a startup selling car parts online back in the day, and now I clean those things up. But at the beginning, it was contacting manufacturers, really putting product up in mass. It's changed so much since then. And what used to be almost like just first to market or getting product up when everything was novel to buy online. And so simply having product online was almost like good enough. You didn't need all the best photos. You didn't need all the tactics and the strategies. It was just like a gold rush, honestly. Today, that looks quite a bit different. And there's even something called marketplaces now that didn't exist, which is like the Chewies of the world, and Amazon and Target and Walmart. These are considered marketplaces. And so you have a strategy for them that's different than you have a strategy for Shopify, or a strategy that's different if you're selling in grocery stores. You might use like an Instacart where they can deliver your groceries. So each one of these channels has different strategies and methodologies that you have to learn and adapt to. And the one thing I can say about e-commerce is it's not a career where you've done it 10 years and you're just amazing at it and you've got it perfected. You're learning, even the best of us are learning every single year. We have to continue to adapt.
And I'm going to ask you the next question, because like adapting is so incredibly important. And AI, we're in the dawn of AI. And not only that, we're in the dawn of AI meeting quantum computing, meeting all of these changes, and everybody's changing their algorithms all the time. So how do you figure out what's the trusted source to learn. How do you find the trusted advisors, and who are the right people to listen to who are going to help you along the way? Because I know you're one of those people, but back out and pretend that you're watching the show. How do I know you're that person?
I think AI is honestly a hard one to talk about right now, because you can look at the Amazon industry, okay, and you can look up Andrew Morgan's online, Google, YouTube, whatever, and you're going to see a decade of content, a decade of me talking the talk and walking the walk, so to speak. And you're going to see some consistency. Whether you like me and want to work with me or not, you're going to see those things, right? In the AI space, and experts around AI and consultants around AI, it's new. There isn't a decade for someone to go back on to kind of like lean on. So I think anytime there's something new coming out, you might look to someone that you've trusted before and see what they're saying about it, and kind of lean into something new that way. But honestly, in the marketing space, a lot of times when you talk to customers or clients or partners, they've been burned by a marketing company before. They've been burned by a consultant before. And so when I was really coming into the space, kind of somewhat even late to the game in marketing in general, seeing Amazon as the opportunity, I come from a missionary background. I come from, my parents were teachers overseas in Congo. And that's just my background. And so it was natural for me to want to be like, okay, I just want to present myself as a good person, as a good agency over time, and prove that through different ways of integrity and authenticity and reputation. Those things, reputation can go hand in hand with brand. I think like those two things can go hand in hand, and a reputation takes a long time to get, and to build a brand takes a long time to build one, because it's kind of the same thing. So some of it's gut, some of it's knowing enough yourself to ask the right questions to someone else. And even the best of us are still figuring things out as we go.
You're absolutely right. I actually am moving in the AI space myself right now, and it is so funny how many gurus are out there. And I'm like, did you realize that I immerse myself every day in this, and I only know this much?
Yeah.
And I know a lot, and I know a lot of very brilliant people, and they know this much. And so, like, there is no, we dominate the marketplace in emerging technologies. But when we talk about e-commerce, it's kind of a market that's matured now, and we see a lot of people in it. And you talk about authenticity and brand and credibility, but it takes a lifetime to build that. But it only takes one moment or the wrong answer to sort of destroy that. And we've seen it play out in a lot of different brands with messaging that have come back, and they want to put that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
But once it's out, folks. Like, once it's out in public, you can't put genies back in bottles. So how do you, in today's society with marketing and so much of evolution of what's okay to talk about, what's not okay to talk about, what's happening, politically versus, everything that's happening in our society, how do you know this is where I'm going and this is how I'm showing up authentically as the messaging has to evolve based off of people are now using these terminologies. We don't talk the same way we did 10 years ago, for example.
Man, that is a great question. And I think it's a balancing act. It's constantly, you're trying to be authentic, you're trying to be yourself. So many times I've been at a conference and had someone come up to me and pull up a podcast or pull up this example of something that I said, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Honestly, I'm like, I said that? Like, who was I, right? And I still believe whatever I said, but it might have been a curt response or like something kind of like a hot take, so to speak. But sometimes that's what really sets you apart, is being like, whether I'm right or wrong, I think people look to Andrew and say, like, Andrew's going to say what he feels in his heart, what he believes to be the truth, whether it's right or not, if that makes sense. It's my truth. And so whether you're following that or not, I'm not just wishy-washy. I'm not going all over the place saying like, let's try this, let's try this. At the same time, at least in the Amazon space, there are things 100% that I believe that I would advise against, that now I have more of a moderate approach to. That I'm like, look, there's advantages to that and advantages to this, and I used to just be strongly pro this and don't do this. For example, there's a way of selling on Amazon called Vendor Central. It's where you're selling to Amazon direct, and there's a way of selling third party on Seller Central. And at the time, Amazon was just making it so hard for vendor sellers. You couldn't control your data, you couldn't control your price point, map pricing, all of these issues. And you're selling to Amazon at a wholesale rate when I can sell direct at 100% MSRP. I just didn't understand why. I was a younger business person, I was younger in this, And I didn't understand why someone would want to do that. And so I really always pushed everyone toward the third party play. If you can get away from Amazon direct and you can sell like in your own way and control your day to do it, now I've learned I'm different. And if someone went to my content 6 years ago, they might hear me saying that. And today I'm saying, this is what I know to be the truth now. And I just try to own that and say, you know, it's a silly example, but I just try to own that and say, this is, you know, I've learned more since I had, that was my truth. And now I have more experience to share with you guys.
And you know, I don't think that it's a matter of right or wrong. It's right at the time.
Yeah.
And we're only where we are. And I think I think the big takeaways for you at home, if you're listening, are be authentically you. Don't be afraid to take a stand in something that you absolutely believe in and speak your truth, because just like in your example, Drew, when things change or the market changes or there's another reason or you learn something new, you can always come back and say, you know what, I know I've said this in the past, and this is what's new, and this is what has evolved, and now this is what my recommendation is. And we all have that. It's just like in business. There were things that worked really well in business before the pandemic. Well, now it's completely shifted, specifically in marketing. Marketing has changed so much in the last 4 years and continues to change, that what was true and the best strategy 4 or 5 years ago may not be the best strategy today. And so I think it's really important to have that. So if you're listening, I think your key takeaways are: be authentic, be true to yourself, and then when things evolve, don't be afraid to own it, and then share why. Because when we show behind the hood, and that perspective is so incredibly important. We do have to take a brief break, but we're going to be right back with Drew after these messages.